Doctor Who Story by Story. The Reign of Terror Review. Just the facts. The Reign of Terror is a 6-part story that saw the end of the first season of Doctor Who, broadcast in 1964. It starred William Hartnell as the first Doctor, together with his companions Ian Chesterton, Barbara Wright, and Susan, played by William Russell, Jacqueline Hill, and Carole Ann Ford. The story was written by television legend and future script editor Dennis Spooner and was a historical adventure with no science fiction elements beyond the TARDIS and the regular characters. Plot. The Doctor thinks he's managed to get Ian and Barbara back to 60s Britain, but it soon transpires he's landed them in France in the middle of the French Revolution. The Doctor is left for dead when his companions are arrested and transported to Paris prison for execution, but soon find themselves enmeshed in the middle of a complex plot involving spies on both sides of the revolution. Guest cast. The guest cast for this story includes character actor Ronald Bickup, a recognizable face on British television for whom Doctor Who was his first ever role, and Edward Brayshaw, best known to the outside world for Rent Ghost but to Doctor Who fans for his memorable turn as the evil Time Lord known only as the War Chief in the Patrick Troughton regeneration story The War Games. Trivia. Episodes 5 and 6 of this 6-part story no longer exist as a result of the infamous archive purge that has compromised so much of 60s Doctor Who. However, the episodes were animated for the official DVD release in a highly stylized manner that has been heavily criticized by some fans. The Reign of Terror was the very first story to feature any location filming, with some inserts of a Hartnell stand-in playing the Doctor walking down country lanes on his way to Paris to rescue his friends. It is also the very first story to feature a materialization of the TARDIS that is actually the full-size TARDIS prop rather than a much smaller model version. Fan reaction. Fan reaction to The Reign of Terror tends to be rather muted in nature. Although there are few who are genuinely viscerally critical of the story, it is not an overly popular tale either and is generally regarded as one of the weaker historical stories of the first season, and perhaps a little bit slow and plodding. What I think. My opinion of The Reign of Terror has generally been much the same as most of fandom, at least until recently, although I did not get to see the story until the 2000s, being one of the last VHS stories released and one of the few I had not experienced by other means. However, I watched The Reign of Terror again earlier this year out of context, and perhaps as a consequence of that or simply my ever-growing appreciation and affection for the William Hartnell era of the program, found myself thoroughly engrossed in and enjoying the story from beginning to end. The story very much continues the Hartnell approach when it comes to historical stories, being devoid of other fantasy elements and genuinely making the characters and the audience feel like they have stepped back into time, an atmosphere that is perhaps strictly unique to this era and certainly does not happen in the current era, where everything and everyone is essentially the 21st century West but with funny clothes. Unlike some fans, I also have no issues with the animation, finding the stylized approach actually rather appealing, helped no end by the fact that the likenesses are certainly more real and lifelike than is sometimes the case, such as in the recent Power of the Daleks animation. In fact, I can honestly say I enjoyed and appreciated The Reign of Terror more this year than on previous viewings, and that this experience has upgraded my rating of it to a full-on B+.